Good evening, everybody. I'm Dobbs, and we're live from Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia, for the first and the only vice presidential debate of the 2016 election. 2 hours from now, Governor Mike Pence faces off against Senator Tim Kaine for a 90-minute debate with no commercial interruptions. This is the first time that Pence and Kaine have actually met face-to-face. Their only other interaction was a telephone call from Pence to Kaine, that after Hillary Clinton chose Kaine as her running mate. Pence last night talked at a rally in Ashland, Virginia, where he gave a preview, perhaps, of what we can expect tonight.
I'm going to be heading over to Farmville, to Longwood University. A little bit of a debate with your governor, your former governor, and your senator, Tim Kaine. And I'll tell you, while I expect we're going to be talking about the visions and the choice the American people face at the top of the ticket, I kind of hope we get to talk about our records as well, because they're just a little bit different. I mean, when Tim Kaine was governor, he actually tried to raise taxes by $4 billion in 4 years. State of Indiana, I've signed more than $3.5 billion in tax relief.
The governor looks anxious to talk about those tax cuts, doesn't he? Well, among our guests tonight, the first senator to endorse Donald Trump for president, Senator Jeff Sessions, joining me. Also with us tonight, Congressman Mike Pompeo and evangelical leader and the president of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr. It is also a busy day for the top of the ticket. Donald Trump making his 6th trip to the key battleground state of Arizona, where the Real Clear Politics polling average shows him leading Clinton now by just about 2 points. In a speech in Prescott Valley, Trump wished his running mate good luck ahead of tonight's debate.
I want to send our best wishes to our great Governor Mike Pence as he prepares for his debate tonight. The debate will be a contrast between our campaign of big ideas and bold solutions for tomorrow versus the small and petty Clinton campaign that is totally stuck in the past.
And here tonight we have some of the best political analysis. Matt Schlapp, Lee Carter, Charlie Hurt among our guests tonight. And we're monitoring the threat of Hurricane Matthew, a hurricane watch now in effect for South Florida, as the Category 4 storm is churned through the Caribbean and is now headed toward the United States. We'll have the very latest for you here tonight as well. Our top story, Donald Trump campaigning in the battleground state of Arizona with 35 days remaining before the election. The Republican nominee addressing one of the greatest challenges facing our country today, illegal immigration. And Trump repeated his call for a wall along the border with Mexico, and he questioned whether refugees still can be properly vetted.
Our border is wide open, and drugs and criminal cartels are pouring into the country, and nobody knows that better than the people of Arizona. Nobody. Thousands of refugees are being admitted with no way to screen them. They're instantly made eligible for welfare and free health care, even as our own veterans die waiting for medical care that they desperately need.
And joining us tonight, Senator Jeff Sessions. He's the first senator, as I said, to endorse Trump for president. He's also a member of several key, very important committees, including Budget, Armed Services, and the Judiciary Committee. Senator, great to have you.
Thank you, Lou.
Let's start with these record numbers of illegal immigrants now pouring across the border, if we can believe those numbers.
Well, let me tell you what the top Border Patrol official told us a few months ago at my subcommittee. He said that they catch about half of the people attempting to enter illegally, and of those they catch, 80% are released before they're deported. I mean, this is why the morale of the whole agency is the lowest in the federal government. They actually sued the federal government for keeping them from enforcing their law by regulations and political orders from on top.
And yet this Democratic nominee says she wants amnesty for everybody, for all illegal immigrants, which includes now refugees from all over the world. within 100 days of taking office if she wins the election.
It's a radical position. It's far to the left of Barack Obama's position on refugees. He admitted a little over 10,000 this year. She proposes 65,000. And our top experts say they cannot be vetted for dangerousness. And she also is undermining the enforcement at the border.
The FBI director, whose own reputation has been severely tarnished, obviously in his decision, ad hoc decision, capricious decision not to charge her or recommend her prosecution, he acknowledged that the FBI, no part of the federal government, can vet these refugees, yet they persist.
They cannot vet them because nobody can go into Syria and check the records, right. Or if they produce a document, who can check it? If they've also admitted they will admit them simply on their own testimony about what they say the facts are. And that's why we cannot vet them in any effective way.
And right now, everyone seems to be on tenterhooks, awaiting Julian Assange of WikiLeaks, his October surprise. I'd like you and the audience to listen to the Democratic nominee talk about Assange, the October surprise, and her remarks in which she said he should be droned.
Are you worried that there's anything that could come out that would upend the race? And did you ever joke about putting us on?
Well, I don't know anything about what he's talking about, and I don't recall any joke. It would have been a joke if it had been said, but I don't recall that.
Now, I have to say, I was impressed, and you as an attorney, a former, sitting on the judiciary of the United States Senate, a former federal prosecutor, I would guess you're pretty impressed to hear her response, which is, I don't remember, but if I did, I would have been joking. I mean, she covered about everything but maybe a dream late at night.
Lou, that's the way you lie. I mean, that's the way people do in court. I've seen them many, many times. Well, I don't remember, but if. And she said, what, 35 times before the FBI interview that she couldn't remember? If you can remember, and you don't, if you say, and you can say I can't remember, then that's as false a perjurous statement as if you flat out gave a false statement.
You know, I've seen lots of politicians with one bell around their neck that clangs loudly. She's got Benghazi. She has got her email scandal. She has got Assange. She has the Clinton Foundation. I mean, the list goes on. There's nothing but noise around her neck right now, and the polls don't reflect it. Why not?
People do not, but her polls do reflect high distrust, high negative ratings for her, and I think they've got to think through, is she articulate, smooth, got an answer for everything, but is it true? And why hasn't she accomplished more? And during her time as Secretary of State, the top policy setter for America, we've suffered the greatest disasters in the Middle East that you can imagine. I mean, we've got horrendous problems in the Middle East, and it arose from her tenure as Secretary of State for bad decisions.
The reversals in the Middle East throughout this administration, but as you say, particularly when she was Secretary of State, are astounding. Tonight, Pence and Kaine. What do you expect in the debate?
Well, I hope that Mike Pence can do what he does so well. First of all, he's going to project to the American people a man of common sense, decency, integrity, and courage. So I think he'll do that. But I do believe he needs to get this campaign refocused on the fundamental issues. Why is median income in America on a steady decline? Why are people hurting? Are these trade deals actually making America better or worse? And the data shows that it's making us worse. Same with immigration. If you bring in more workers, Lou, then we've got jobs for them. It pulls down wages, and it's just an unhealthy situation.
And this election year, we have seen, because of Donald Trump and the items that he has driven forward to the top of this national agenda. You know, we're talking about things that haven't been discussed in public, let alone in a presidential debate, for decades. Yeah. Senator, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Senator Jeff Sessions.
Thank you.
And other news tonight that we are watching closely for you. The Southeast is on high alert tonight. Hurricane Matthew is now a Category 4 storm. It is headed toward the east coast of the country. A hurricane watch issued for parts of South Florida after the Category 4 storm hit Haiti and Cuba earlier today. The storm making landfall, sustained winds. Are you ready for this? 145 miles an hour, a 10-foot storm surge, and more than 3 feet of rain. Officials in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina joining Florida in declaring states of emergencies and setting up watches and warnings for the storm. Meteorologists projecting the storm could hit upper Florida toward the end of the week, push its way up the coast, including South Carolina and Georgia over the weekend. We'll have the latest projections for you here next and report to you on the progress of the storm. Up next, Donald Trump on the campaign trail, and he's hitting Hillary Clinton hard on her emails and calling the FBI investigation into her personal email server rigged.
We've become a banana republic, and today we learned that the FBI made a side deal with Clinton's top aides to destroy their laptops. They said it's okay, destroy your laptops, get rid of them. What is going on, right? What is going on?
Coming up next, Matt Schlapp and Charlie Hurt join me here at Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia for tonight's vice presidential debate. Stay with us. We're coming right back. We're live from Farmville, Virginia. We're here at Longwood University, a beautiful place for the vice presidential debate tonight. Donald Trump will be among the millions, by the way, watching tonight's debate, and he tweeted this. Are you ready? He tweeted this. Move to the edge of your seat. Quote, "I will be watching the great Governor Mike Pence and live tweeting the vice presidential debate tonight starting at 8:30 p.m. Enjoy." And that, as far as we know, is the only tweet emanating from the Republican nominee tonight. So far, we can expect more. Hillary Clinton also watching this debate from her home in Chappaqua, New York. Earlier today, she was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and there she attacked Trump about comments he made about post-traumatic stress disorder and some of our veterans. Now, if you would, please listen to what Trump actually said yesterday and Clinton's interpretation or distortion, if you prefer.
When you talk about the mental health problems, when people come back from war and combat and they see things that maybe a lot of the folks in this room have seen many times over, and you're strong and you can handle it, but a lot of people can't handle it. And they see horror stories, they see events that you couldn't see in a movie, nobody would believe it.
Lots of people who need help aren't getting it. You know what doesn't help with that? When a man asking to be our next commander-in-chief stands up and says post-traumatic stress isn't a problem if you're strong.
Is that what he said? Or is it a Clinton lie? But that is the same candidate who lied to family members of the Benghazi victims at Andrews Air Force Base as the bodies of their loved ones were returned to this country from Benghazi. Joining me now, Charlie Hurt, Washington Times staff writer, Fox News contributor, chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp. Matt, let's start with you. Was that a distortion, or is that what Donald Trump said?
I think that Hillary Clinton is believed by the American people, Lou. I think she did distort what he said, and she never wants to talk about the central issues of this campaign. The weakness of the Obama economy, the fight against Islamic terrorism, and the fact that Washington is not equipped to fix any of our problems. She wants to bring up all this extraneous stuff because it's the only way she can win when she's such a damaged candidate.
Charlie, your thoughts?
I mean, on that particular quote, I still don't understand even what the media was trying to claim. He said that was so offensive, but of course they went after it. You know, the mainstream media, they glommed onto it, and of course because they're working in such concert with the Clinton campaign, they turned it into this big nothing burger. That once people actually got to listen to what he actually said, I honestly, explain it to me. I don't see any
It is stunning to watch the coordination, the orchestration between major liberal mainstream media and the Clinton campaign, and it goes on and on. I personally, Matt, Charlie, I think that folks are wise to it. It's going to be interesting to see how it reads out. In terms of tonight's debate, Kaine versus Pence, your thoughts, Charlie, first about how it's going to go. Is this going to be a pyrotechnic display on the part of these two candidates?
I hope so, because that's what I'm here for.
Good copy.
And yeah, exactly. And if it's not, we can always look at the Twitter feed, and I'm sure Donald Trump will throw some firebombs tonight. But you know, the bottom line is, I think if Mike Pence sticks with the best line from Trump's campaign debate, where he talks about, you know, it's been 30 years. You've had 30 years. This is your, you know, President Obama's third term. It's time for somebody else to take a whack at this. I think it's Pence could walk away with a pretty good victory here.
You know, Matt, I think Charlie has enunciated precisely the issue here. Donald Trump and Governor Pence are the agents of change. They are those who should be surfing this wave of change in 2016. And somehow Hillary Clinton keeps eating into their territory and claims. What is Governor Pence's challenge and Senator Kaine's challenge here tonight?
I think Senator Kaine's got to try to come across as likable. Hillary Clinton has to be one of the most unlikable candidates we've seen run for president in my lifetime, and he's going to try to use a bit of charm to try to increase the likability. For Mike Pence, I think he'll answer questions about what Donald Trump has done here or there, and he should answer them quickly and then get right back to the ideological themes that people really want to hear about what this campaign will do to fix the problems of our country. I think Mike Pence does that in a uniquely classy, clear, concise way. And I think if he hits those conservative themes tonight, he's going to continue to expand this big Republican coalition.
All right, Matt Slapp, thanks so much. Charlie Hurd, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, both of you being with us tonight. Up next, Donald Trump. Well, he says he's benefited from a complex and unfair tax code. You know, the rest of us all wanted to pay taxes, and we all want everybody else to pay taxes. I have to tell you, I don't think that's the case at all. But we'll take it up anyway and see what are called regular Americans in some quarters really think. We're coming to you live from Farmville, Virginia at Longwood University for the first and only vice presidential debate. Earlier today, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange was supposed to, well, drop the October surprise on us. However, he failed to deliver on the much anticipated surprise. Assange instead promised to release new information regarding the 2016 election each week for the next 10 weeks. That's right, that carries us 5 weeks beyond the election, so there may be some anticlimactic element to it all. Joining me now, the host of Media Buzz on the Fox News channel, Howie Kurtz. Howie, great to have you here.
Thanks, Lou.
What a disappointing 5 a.m., 4 a.m. By actual reckoning.
Especially since I heard you got up early.
Absolutely. I was ready to go.
I think Assange should change the name of the organization to Wiki Hype, because it turns out he had a whole lot of nothing. Okay, we all got the big build-up, and he's had an impact on the election before, but I think at this point, he seems to be more interested in promoting himself and his organization from his captivity, which is basically what it is. He hides out from criminal charges, but he didn't produce the goods. You
know, for an alt-left, to be kind, figure, he's got remarkable commercial instincts, doesn't he? Yet, we saw signs of anxiety on the part of the Clinton campaign, and in particular, she has been accused of saying that she said, just drone him. And it was an interesting reaction. Could I share that with the audience and with you? Her reaction today to that question.
Are you worried that there's anything that could come out that would upend the race? And did you ever joke about droning us on?
Well, I don't know anything about what he's talking about, and I don't recall any joke. It would have been a joke if it had been said, but I don't recall that.
She not only doesn't recall, but she doesn't recall having made what would have been a great joke, apparently, in her estimation.
Only in this campaign will we be talking about droning our political opponents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we being her. Let's be very clear.
All right. Well,
we, her.
Got it.
this has taken a whole new tone, this campaign. She is right now, she still has the millstones, to use the old cliche, and saw and whatever else you want to call it, around her neck of all of these scandals, and yet she continues to perform well in the head-to-head with Donald Trump.
Right. I mean, the Hillary Clinton people are very happy right now because of the last debate, but also I had on my show the other day, Lou, Brian Fallon, the Clinton campaign press secretary, and he said he believes that the media are holding Donald Trump accountable, which is his way of saying the media are really carrying the water of the Clinton campaign by calling Donald Trump a liar and an exaggerator and half-truths. Now,
he's thrilled.
Yeah, they're all very happy. Now, it's not to say that Donald Trump doesn't make mistakes or commit self-inflicted wounds when he talks or tweets about things that take him off his core message, but the avalanche of negative stories against Trump right now is so dwarfs anything aimed in Hillary Clinton's direction that, you know, any fair assessment would be that it's a bit unbalanced.
You and I have known each other for a very long time. We've worked together. I have never seen the national liberal media commit this kind of atrocity against anyone as they have Donald Trump. Would you agree with the statement?
Well, it would depend on the atrocity. So, for example, I think there are legitimate stories out there.
I'm talking about, here's the atrocity.
Okay.
The fact is they are never, I mean, almost never fair to the man. They attack him in ways they would never attack her. And they consistently keep a cocoon around her in terms of talking points. The talking points that are being followed are her talking points. They're shared with the national media a week in advance, and often they're attempting to look at the homepage of the Washington Post, your old stomping grounds. It looks like Jeff Bezos has sent a memo, and there are at least 6, 7 stories on the editorial page and in the news hole every day attacking Trump.
Well, the Washington Post has extensively been reporting on the problems that the Trump Foundation is having. I think the New York Times is much more, dropping a lot more tonnage on Trump. And look, I'll dissent only to the point where I'm going to say that some of these stories are legitimate. He's running on his business record, therefore it's fair for reporters to look at his business record. But when you look at the tone and the headlines and the throwing around the word liar.
Well, let's take the 1995 taxes story.
Okay.
Loses $1 billion. Right. The New York Times didn't know that. They wrote a story in 1995 talking about the comeback king. His name was Donald Trump. They hailed him as a great corporate hero, a business hero.
I'd describe that as a bombshell that didn't explode. You know, I'm not saying it's not a good story for Donald Trump. It is not, but because it gets into, you know, how did he lose $1 billion? But he took advantage on a much larger scale than we do.
But I'm talking about the integrity of the Times, which is non-existent in this. They knew in 95 when they wrote the story that he was the comeback king. They knew in 2016 when they wrote the story attacking him that he had been the comeback king according to their own measure and template.
Right. It's one thing to know that. It's another thing to know that he took a $916 million write-off, nearly $1 billion. At the same time, New York Times Company, I'm sure you've pointed this out, has paid 0 taxes in 2014 because that's what corporations do. They take legal advantage of every possible break.
And they're hypocritical SOBs. Howie Kurtz, you don't get to say that.
You get to have your show. You can say what you want.
You got it. We appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thanks so much, Howie. Up next, Donald Trump reminding supporters why he's better suited to grow business and the economy in America than anyone. We're live in Farmville, Virginia at Longwood University for tonight's vice presidential debate. Bill Clinton out on the campaign trail, and he did it again. He started speaking truth. The former president, in doing so, blasted Obamacare. Listen.
So you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world.
Craziest thing in the world. Donald Trump today questioned whether Bill Clinton is a good surrogate, but complimented him for telling the truth about Obamacare.
He's absolutely trashed President Obama's signature legislation. He said it's the craziest thing in the world. I'll bet he went through hell last night. He went through hell. But you know, honestly, there have been many nights when he's gone through hell with Hillary.
Well, joining me now, the president of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr. Jerry, great to have you here.
Great to be with you.
And you do have to give it to Bill Clinton. He's talking truth on Obamacare.
He is, but I don't want to give him the credit for planning it, but I think Obama planned to put in place. He couldn't get single payer approved back in 2008, but he got something approved that he knew would fail. And I think the goal was to come in behind when it did fail and bring a single-payer system. So,
yeah, I don't see any part, and I respect your judgment, but I don't see any part of anything this president has done that suggests to me that he's got very clever ideas about anything domestic or foreign in way of policy. Following your view, the reality is it is falling apart. And following your view, he's got to have Hillary Clinton to put together a single payer, because that Donald Trump is not going to go in that direction, obviously.
But it was simple arithmetic from day one. If you're going to cover that many more people, the rates have to go up. So I have a hard time believing they didn't know what was going to happen down there.
You have much more respect for their capacity than I do, and I appreciate that.
Probably right.
Let's turn to Mike Pence and his role with the evangelical community. Tonight, he and Tim Kaine are going to go at it. What do you expect to be the appeal that Pence will make to evangelicals, and how do you expect this debate to go? What do you expect will come of it?
I think the evangelical voters are looking at different issues in this election than they ever have before. I think they have lost faith. They've been betrayed by so many politicians who said all the right things to them but did something different. So I think the issues that appeal to evangelicals are the same ones that appeal to the general population. I think that's what Mike Pence will talk about. I think he'll talk about Obamacare. I think he'll talk about the Supreme Court, who the Trump-Pence ticket will appoint to the Supreme Court. That's the most important issue to evangelicals.
Well, he's put out 21 names.
Right.
He has a guarantee that he will choose from that list, but that's something that's never been done by any nominee in presidential campaigning history.
I think tonight, I was glad to see Pence had a little fire in his belly last night in Ashland. I think you'll see him come out swinging tonight. I think he comes across as quiet and mild-mannered, but I think when he gets on the stage, that he'll take it to Tim Kaine.
I think you're right. And by the way, I think Pence is really underestimated as we have to wrap up here. But I think that Donald Trump has taught one lesson here for all presidential candidates, and I think campaigns in the future. No one seeking the highest office in the land has the right to bore the American people to death. Now we're going to see if that works out to be a good strategy.
I agree. Yeah.
Jerry Falwell Jr., great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We're coming right back, and when we do, Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway predicting a fiery performance, echoing the words of Jerry Falwell Jr. We'll see what happens. We're back live at Farmville, Virginia, Longwood University, a beautiful place. We're just about an hour away from the first and only vice presidential debate. They take the stage here in a little while. Millions of people across the country expected to tune in tonight. But will it be the most watched vice presidential debate ever? Many think so. The record holder is the 28th vice presidential debate between Biden and Palin. Nearly 70 million people tuned in for that debate. We fully expect you to call a friend and make sure that we beat that record. The second most watched debate was 1984 between George H.W. Bush and Geraldine Ferraro. Nearly 57 million viewers. So there is the metric against which our performance will be judged. Joining me now, editor-in-chief at the Daily Caller, as well as co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, Tucker Carlson, and Lee Carter, political communications expert and partner at Maslansky and Partners. Good to have you both here.
Great to be here.
Lee, this is quite something. What do you think Pence is going to have to do to beat Kaine?
Look, I think tonight what his job is to do is to reassure voters who are not quite sure that they're ready to vote for Donald Trump that Donald Trump has a really good counterbalance to him. So I think tonight he needs to come out and be strong. He needs to be soothing. He needs to reassure people that he's got depth in policy. At the same time, he's got a tough job because he does have to deliver some zingers, because that's what's going to carry on the debate over the next few days. So he's got a balancing act that he's got to do. He's got to be both entertaining and he's got to be educated and informed tonight. So it's going to be a big night for him.
A big night. What do you think, Tucker?
I think vouching for Trump helps. I mean, Pence is such a self-evidently decent guy, such a moderate, temperamentally moderate person, than saying, look, I know Trump. He's not scary. Nobody wants to vote for Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton doesn't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. You just want to be assured that Trump is not the monster you've heard about on the television, and he's not. And I'm here to tell you that. I think that gets Trump something.
Yeah, I'm starting to worry that people are getting the idea that Americans are supposed to be daffodils, Lee, and that the little gentle flowers cannot be bruised by the harsh winds of truth that often flow from the lips of Donald Trump. And I'm starting to think it may be a little Darwinian. I mean, are Americans suddenly too weak to have real leaders who speak truth to them?
I don't think that they are. I think that we've seen that with Donald Trump, he has recovered from so many different of his strong statements, and I think that people love him for his strength. But what he has had is a drip, drip, drip strategy by the Hillary Clinton campaign, one thing after another that he has responded to. Instead of just overcoming it, he's reacting. He's staying in the middle of things that he shouldn't be in. He needs to get out of that. He needs to stop reacting to her, and he needs to get back on message if he's going to continue to be loved for his strength.
Lee, this has got to be the most advised presidential nominee in history. And this man just keeps writing new rules and getting amazing results from it.
He's doing it tonight. He's live tweeting during the debate. He will not be silent.
Well,
He will not be silent.
And the fact is, do we want somebody who's just like we've seen? I mean, we've got leaders who lie through their teeth. We've been lied to by this administration on, you name it, Iran. How about Obamacare? It's collapsing before our very eyes. The Republicans don't have to repeal it, but they will have to replace it, certainly, if they're of such a mind. I mean, this is an administration and the previous administration which have just, been awful.
The failures are demonstrable, and without those failures, Trump wouldn't be the Republican nominee within striking distance of becoming president. I mean, that's the point. Whatever Trump's deficits, whatever his problems, he didn't create this mess. He didn't screw up the United States of America, and they did. And not just the Democrats, by the way.
Yeah, I love the idea. Go ahead, Lee.
I just think it's important that people understand that this is more than just voting for Donald Trump. This is voting for a movement. This is voting for something that is saying, government is broken and we need something different. And Donald Trump is the one that represents that, and I think that's what this is all about. It's more than voting for a man, it's voting for a movement.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea of voting for the fella, too, because the reality is he's strong enough to actually speak truth. He's strong enough to actually speak in language that is accessible and comprehensible to every American. He talks about every American, not just the Afro-Americans or Hispanics or white Americans or, inner city Americans or, big shot one percenters. He's talking to everybody.
There's also a sense in which voting for Trump is a throbbing middle finger in the face of the people who run everything. I mean, a vote for Trump really is a vote against smugness, against self-satisfaction, against moral preening and dumbness, against the press, against the Congress, against the leadership of both parties. I think a lot of people see it that way.
I think, Lee, you've got to agree with every word he said there. Well, almost every word. Lee Carter.
Actually, everyone.
We're going to get everyone. All right. Lee Carter, Tucker Carlson, we're in agreement here. How often does that happen on this broadcast? We're going to have you both back soon. Thanks so much. On Wall Street today, stocks ended lower. The Dow falling 85 points, the S&P and NASDAQ down 11 points. Volume on the big board, 3.6 billion shares, picking up a bit today. The Wall Street Journal reporting the long-awaited sale of the social media pioneer Twitter could be at hand. Twitter expected to field bids this week. That, according to those familiar with the matter, as reported within the pages of the august Wall Street Journal. And a reminder to listen to my reports 3 times a day, coast to coast, on the Salem Radio Network. We're coming right back. We're coming to you live from Farmville, Virginia, here at Longwood University as we await the beginning of the first and only vice presidential debate. That's coming up in just about an hour. One likely topic of the debate, Hillary Clinton's endless scandals. I'm just guessing there. That's a possibility. And Rebuilding America, a pro-Trump super PAC, just put out a new ad hitting Clinton and her capacity for dishonesty.
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, Well, have you always told the truth?
I've always tried to. Always. I have tried in every way I know how to level with the American people.
Well, that's a pretty good ad. And joining me now, Congressman Mike Pompeo, a member of the House Intelligence Committee and the Benghazi Select Committee. Congressman, great to have you on the broadcast. First, your reaction to that ad's assessment, obviously, of her dishonesty.
Lou, it's great to be with you tonight here in Farmville, Virginia. We've seen decades of Hillary Clinton being dishonest. Even where she says she's always been honest, she's dishonest. I saw it firsthand with the Benghazi Committee, where she lied to the families of the 4 Americans who were killed that night. America has seen it in every action she's taken in official office. She's someone who the American people don't trust, and I think come November 8th, we'll see that in the polls, in the election.
And Congressman, you worked with Mike Pence in the House, the governor going up against Senator Tim Kaine, also a governor of this great state as well. Your assessment about what we can expect? Kellyanne Conway, the Trump campaign manager, telling everybody it's going to be a fiery Mike Pence. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you'll see tonight someone who understands what it takes to grow America, create an economy that grows at more 1 or 2%. And the American people will see that 4 more years of this failed set of policies are wrong. Tim Kaine raised taxes when he was the governor of Virginia. There weren't more jobs in Virginia as a result of what he did. And Governor Pence has a very different record, and I think you'll hear a lot about that tonight, and it'll impress the American people.
And I've got to ask you where we are right now with the FBI director, who's well, frankly, his honesty has been impugned because of his refusal, given the evidence, to recommend prosecution. What do you think we're headed toward here with the FBI director? Many people, and that includes myself, think the man should be resigning forthwith from the FBI.
Lou, there's no doubt that he has done enormous damage to the reputation of the FBI. We've watched an investigation that I think all of us wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but that has not been earned to date. We can see that there were 2 different standards applied. Americans know and Kansans know that had they been the ones who handled information this way, they would have been indicted and likely convicted. It's most unfortunate. I think Director Comey still has an awful lot of explaining to do about the immunity deals, about how the laptops were destroyed. The list is very long.
And do you expect tonight that to be a subject of a good portion of the debate, the honesty of Hillary Clinton, the forthrightness, if you will, of Donald Trump? What do you expect?
I do expect that'll be a topic tonight, Lou. I think it's completely irrelevant to deciding who should be the next commander-in-chief. We watched Secretary Clinton put a failed policy forward in Libya. We watched the disaster that has become Syria, that she had a hand in at the front end. We've seen the Iran deal puts American lives at risk. And today she still tells the American people those were good policies. Her trustworthiness should be at the center of this debate tonight and the debate in the next 5 weeks.
And we awaited with, I guess the cliche is bated breath, for Julian Assange and WikiLeaks to deliver the October surprise. And here we are, frustrated, disappointed. Your thoughts?
You know, I have a view of Julian Assange that is not one that's positive. But I'll say this. We know enough about Hillary Clinton. We don't need Julian Assange to tell us more. We know that she has consistently deceived the American people, and she is not fit to be the commander-in-chief. And I'm very confident the American people in November will see that as well.
And tonight, your judgment on the most important issue that the 2 vice presidential nominees can wrangle over and debate fully themselves, just their special issue.
You know, I'd put national security at the top of this. I'd put economic growth and jobs right behind it. Governor Pence has a track record on each of those from his time in Congress and his time as a governor. Those are very different record than Tim Kaine, and I hope tonight he tries to defend the failed policies he put forward in Virginia and the liberal policies he has put forward as a senator. I think those are stark contrasts, and the American people ought to see that debated hotly tonight.
And does this debate presage a greater engagement on the part of the Republican leadership on Capitol Hill in the presidential campaign? They have been very constrained at the least.
I hope so. Hillary Clinton should not be the next president of the United States. I hope every conservative, every Republican will get behind in a full-throated way to ensure that Hillary Clinton never steps foot at an official capacity in the White House ever again.
Congressman Mike Pompeo, always good to talk with you. Thanks so much. We appreciate you being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Congressman Mike Pompeo. Stay tuned for our special coverage of the vice presidential debate. My colleague Neil Cavuto leading the way.